All right, let's talk about something that can send a shiver down pretty much anyone's spine, an HMRC investigation. But look, there is absolutely no need to panic. The experts over at Pro Tax Accountant have helped us put together this really clear guide to demystify the whole thing so you'll know exactly what to expect and, more importantly, how to prepare. Okay, let's just jump right in. Picture this. You get home, you're sorting through the post, and there it is. That unmistakable brown envelope with the HMRC logo staring back at you. Your heart does that little jump, right? It's a feeling we all know and dread. So the big question is, what on earth happens now? So here's how we're going to break it all down for you. First, we'll get into the why me. What actually triggers an investigation? Then we're going to walk through the official playbook, step by step. After that, we'll look at the final verdict, the potential outcomes. And finally, and this is the important part, we'll cover your best defense. By the end of this, you're going to feel a whole lot clearer about everything. Okay, let's tackle that first massive question. Why me? It is so natural to immediately think you've done something terribly wrong. But you know what? That's usually not the case. An investigation can be triggered by all sorts of things, and understanding the why is really the first step to getting through it. You've got to understand that a lot of these triggers are just driven by a computer system. They're not personal. Let's take Chloe, for example, a freelance web designer in London. One year, she lands a huge project, and her income shoots up. The next year is a bit quieter. Well, to HMRC's automated system, that big up and down fluctuation can look like a red flag. It could be big expense claims or just working in a cash-heavy business. And sometimes it's just random selection, pure luck of the draw. And this is where things get really interesting. HMRC has this super powerful computer system called Connect. Think of it like a digital detective. It pulls in data from your bank accounts, your letting agent, credit card companies, even crypto exchanges. Then it cross-references all that information with your tax return to spot any gaps. This is exactly why being accurate isn't just a good idea, it is absolutely essential. Okay, so we've covered the why. Now let's get into the how. When an investigation actually kicks off, it isn't just chaos. It's a very structured process. And once you know the playbook, it feels a whole lot less intimidating. So the moment you get that official letter, a clock starts ticking. You have a maximum of 35 days to send them a written response. Trust me, this is not a deadline you want to mess with. A prompt, professional, and really well-thought-out response is your first, and frankly, your best move. Now, investigations usually come in two main flavors. The most common one is an aspect inquiry. For our freelance designer, Chloe, this might just be HMRC wanting to take a closer look at her home office expense claims. It's specific, targeted, and usually wrapped up in a few months. A full inquiry, though, that's the real deep dive. This is when HMRC wants to go through your entire financial life, usually because they suspect something more serious is going on. These can take a year or even longer to finish. So this right here, this is the typical path. It all starts with the opening, that formal letter. Next up is the review, where they'll ask you for documents. Then you might get to the examination stage, which could involve an interview. After that, they make their assessment on your tax position. And finally, it all comes to a resolution. You either agree on a figure, or the case could even go to a tax tribunal. See, it's a clear path. Now here's a fact that really makes people sit up and listen. For simple mistakes, HMRC can usually look back about 4 to 6 years. But if they suspect you have deliberately tried to mislead them, that's tax evasion, they have the power to dig into your finances for the last 20 years. Just let that sink in. 20 years. This is why keeping good records for the long haul is so important. Stay with me. The next point might surprise you even more. Okay, so we've walked through the whole process. Now we get to the big moment, the final verdict. And it's so easy to just assume the worst, but it's really important to know that an investigation doesn't always end with a massive bill and penalties. The outcomes can be really different. Best case scenario, no further action. HMRC is happy and they close the case. Sometimes they might even find that you've overpaid your tax and you'll get a refund with interest. Nice. More often, if there's a mistake, you'll have to pay the tax you owe plus interest. On top of that, you might get penalties. And only in the really serious fraud cases does it ever become a criminal investigation. Now, this is so important to understand. The penalty you might face isn't just about the amount of tax you owe, it's all about your behavior. Let's go back to Chloe. If she just made a careless mistake on her expenses, the penalty is pretty low, between 15 and 30%. But if she deliberately didn't declare some income, that penalty jumps big time. And if she actually created false documents to hide it, the penalty can be up to 100% of the tax she owes. It just shows you how much cooperation matters. And here is a pro tip that is worth its weight in gold. If you realize you've made a mistake, being proactive is your absolute best strategy. Telling HMRC about an error either before they find it or right when an investigation starts shows you're cooperating, and that can slash any potential penalty. Honestly, being upfront is the smartest thing you can do. So far, we've been talking about how to react when an investigation happens. But now, let's flip that around. How do you stop this from happening in the first place? Let's talk about building your best defense. This checklist right here, this is your shield. Your number one defense, no question, is keeping accurate, organized records. Keep everything for at least 6 years. Always, always file on time. Late filing just screams disorganized to HMRC. Use a separate business bank account. It makes life so much easier. And it sounds simple, but just double check your return before you hit submit and be totally transparent. These aren't just good habits, they're your frontline protection. Which brings us to a really critical question. When that brown envelope lands on your doormat, do you try and handle it all by yourself, or do you call in an expert? For a lot of people, this is the single most important decision they'll make in this whole process. And here's why it's so vital. A tax professional who knows about investigations, they do way more than just check your maths. They are your translator, decoding all that complicated HMRC language. They are your shield, handling all the communication and making sure your rights are protected. They can negotiate penalties, they can handle deadlines, and they just give you incredible peace of mind when things feel stressful. And that's really the main takeaway. With the right knowledge and the right support, the goal completely changes. It stops being about just surviving an investigation. It becomes about navigating it with confidence, because you know you're prepared and you've got someone in your corner. So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. Based on everything we've just talked about, what is the one simple change you could make to your record keeping starting today that would give you total peace of mind if that brown envelope ever showed up? Look, if you're facing an investigation or you just want to get your tax affairs in perfect shape, please don't hesitate to get expert help. The friendly and professional team at ProTax Accountant is ready to give you the guidance you need. You can reach them on WhatsApp, on the phone at 07-985-689912, or just drop them an email at info@protaxaccountant.co.uk. And finally, if you found this guide useful, make sure you subscribe to the ProTax Accountant YouTube channel. They're always posting clear, helpful guides on all things UK tax to help you stay ahead of the game. Thanks so much for joining us.